I wonder what's on the YouTube trending tab. Probably garbage. Why would I even care what the hell YouTube is trying to shove in my face? Tree planting. I'm kind of into tree planting. I think I might try to catch the trend and make a video about it. Oh my god. What am I doing? Hi, welcome to Just Thinking Out Loud. My name is Desi-Rae. Do you guys know that when I was in college, when I first started college, I wanted to do conservation biology. When I was really young, like a child, for like 12 years, I wanted to be a vet. And when I wanted to do conservation biology, it was more like save the animals and save their habitats because that was cool. And I still think that's really cool, but I'm not so much into that anymore. Not because I don't think it's important, I think it is, but because so much of the rhetoric surrounding it, I realize is a load of crap. When I was in college watching documentaries about how the earth is being destroyed, if I were to believe the things that were being said for me, and as I understand it, this happens to many generations, we would all be dead by now. That is the way they portrayed the severity of how urgently we needed to fix issues. And don't get me wrong, I still care about people just having respect for the environment, but I'm not very much into some of the methods of getting there, such as mandating, say, taxation in order to reduce incentives, or like, I think it's good to do positive incentives, like try to make people go more into certain green technology. For example, I'd prefer that that's done voluntarily, such as consumers putting pressure on companies to give them products that are sustainably sourced, both in terms of the human chain and also the materials, how they're sourced. So that is really my fundamental approach to solving these issues, and I know some people won't agree with that. They'd rather do it through law and the legal whatever, and I don't think that's a bad thing because we already have laws and they already benefit companies that are not doing the best things to the environment, so you might as well turn it around to make it so that they're more pressure to do the right thing for the environment. Okay, but in principle, I would prefer that people pressure companies to do those things. In principle. Anyhow, I heard about Mr. Beast doing this tree planting thing, and I thought I can get on board with this. I think it's great for the environment on the planet. I really love nature. I'm a big nature fan. You might not know that. I love being outdoors all the time. I actually really don't like cities. I think I've mentioned that a couple of times in my videos. And I'm not planting a tree because where I live right now, I don't own the property, and because I already plant things a lot all the time in order to eat them. And I've probably planted some trees before. So that's not why I'm doing this, but I thought this topic was interesting and maybe you guys can go out and plant trees if you want. Tree planting has been going on for a very long time, and the purpose of it is to help with climate change and global warming, or just reversing land use. In terms of climate change and global warming, what planting trees does is that it helps with carbon sequestration. Carbon dioxide is taken up by trees, in the photosynthesis, in the classic photosynthesis equation, which I can't cite right now, but I had to know all the details for in biology class, like the whole ATP stuff when I was younger, and I can't remember anything anymore because that's what happens when you go to school. You just forget everything. It just goes like through one ear and out the other. Anyway, so they help with that. And then also the way that people have used land has really shifted the earth over time. Now, it's important to remember that it's a myth that humans never actively modified land, even when we were hunters and gatherers, or maybe when people burned crops to use them. Like, it's not just the Western world that has modified the land. So there was never, at least that we could remember, a state of the environment that we can like make it go back to and like wipe ourselves off the face of the planet, etc. Like, that doesn't really exist. And a lot of discussions around how bad humanity is both to other people and to the planet make it sound as if if the current people weren't around, that everything would just be like, yay, roses and sunshine, and that's not true. Here's a handy gift that I found from citylab.com that shows how urbanization and farm use, just showing how land use has shifted over the decades. That's kind of useful to look at. So that's what we have done, and by planting more trees, it might help with that. I did try to look up, is this actually effective? Like, is this actually going to help if people go out and plant trees? I found two things. One was a study on how it's better to plant trees in areas that are closer to the equator. And also, if you're going to plant in more temperate zones above and below the equator, then there are specific places in the US, in the Pacific Northwest, the eastern coast of the USA, and boreal regions of Northern America, including Canada. Boreal means places that have super long winters but mild summers. The reason for this is that when you're in the northern areas and not places closer to the equator where it would be awesome to plant trees, is that the reflection that comes from, say, the snow or how the land is before the trees are planted is better because it stops trapping heat and radiation. Whereas when the trees are there, then that heat and radiation isn't reflected back. And so it will result in the earth becoming warm. And it will contribute to global warming rather than help it. So that was interesting to learn. It's great to plant trees, but maybe do it in specific regions rather than just everywhere, because just planting a tree sounds like it would be a good thing. The other thing I found was an article talking about what's going on in Brazil and the Amazon. Did you know that the Amazon is on fire? Because I didn't know that. Or some of it is on fire, and there's a lot of debate over why it's happening. Is it because the president... I don't want to get into the politics of it, and I'm not trying to make a video about my opinion on climate change. I might be doing that soon, actually, but that's not what this is. This is just about planting trees because I think that's a really good idea. So there was this article talking about how, well, you can plant trees, but it's not that great, because you need to focus on stopping deforestation in the first place, and you need to put specific laws in place, which I don't agree with. But they also said other things that were kind of useful. They were talking about breakthroughs in fusion power, so that maybe you could have a focus on vertical farming in the future to help with not having to use so much agricultural land in order to feed cities. I think that's a really good idea, to focus on technology to solve these issues. And then also conservation efforts might help with intensive agriculture. So that's why planting trees might be really good. I just wanted to say that I support tree planting, and I like this trend. Go out and plant a tree. It might be a really good thing. And I might be able to actually talk about climate change in another video where I can get into the science and the debates. I actually don't have an official opinion on it because I haven't found the time to do the research myself. I've only known what I learned in school, and I did learn a lot because I was focused on that for a bit, at least at the beginning. All right, go plant a tree. Also, this might come near Halloween. Happy Halloween. Yeah, it's official. I'm becoming Americanized if I'm saying something like Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Bye. I'll talk to you soon.